The big one, everybody knows Landstar. When everybody's starting out, that Landstar is the one they hear about, and that's the one they want to go to. And I was at Landstar for a couple of years, and so how does F2F stack up with Landstar? And I'll do a couple of little comparisons that I wrote down. Um, so starting off, signing on with a company, that that shouldn't be a big deal. If you got a good record, driving record, haven't had any accidents or tickets or anything, and you don't have an arrest record, all that takes about 10 minutes to figure out on the internet these days, especially when you give somebody permission to look into your background. Landstar can take it, well, they take at least 3 weeks to check you out. The process makes no sense to me whatsoever. When I was going through it, I tried to get updates. They use an agency to do it. They really don't keep you updated. And then at the end of the 3 weeks, if you're lucky, at the end of 3 weeks, they call you and say, okay, you're done. But that's not really when you're done, because they're sending your stuff over to Landstar, and now you have to start a different process. And, oh yeah, you forgot to do this little thing, so you got to rush and do that. So their sign-on process is just a nightmare. It should not take 3 weeks to sign on with a company. I don't understand that part of it, but anyway, F2F sign-on process, like 9 out of 10 trucking companies, you put your application in online, they call you, boom, you're done. Within a day, basically a couple of days, they've got all your stuff approved, like anybody should be able to. So no worries there. Really easy to sign on with F2F. Orientation, I really, when I went through orientation with Landstar, it was several years ago. You went to a classroom. It was about 3-day orientation, and the routine: sign, 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 sign. They fill your head, with 8 hours of safety stuff that you've heard 10 times before, and then you sign more paperwork, and then at the end of it, if you want a trailer, you're usually driving somewhere cross country to find a trailer, which they pay you the mileage to go get the trailer, or you're waiting several days. I guess it just depends on how lucky you are. With F2F, I went through the orientation during all this COVID stuff, and I loved it. It was super easy. Everything was online. You did about a 3-hour orientation in a Zoom meeting. Still got all the information you wanted, but not these, didn't have all these guys telling war stories and classes taking a break, and you could do most of the stuff online, all the safety stuff and all that. So it was super easy. But I don't know if they're going to go back to, after COVID is over, if they're going to go back to in-person orientation or not. I hope they don't, because the Zoom meeting was awesome. It's like I said, there were no distractions. You get it over quick. Already talked about customer service up here, but F2F is awesome. As soon as you dial in, you get a person to talk to right then. There's no, waiting on hold. Even if your advocate is not there, somebody else can take care of you. They've got the system down pat. Of course, it's a smaller company right now. That could change later. But compared to Landstar, I distinctly remember times being on hold for an hour or two, just trying to get one simple thing taken care of on an ELD. And, it happened more than once. It happened several times with them. And other people I've talked to, they've gone through the same thing. Landstar, just, however many drivers they have, 15,000 or something, they haven't kept up on the customer service side, trying to take care of those drivers in a timely fashion. And then I remember on several occasions, trying to get somebody to answer a question, only to call in, wait on hold an hour, get somebody, and then they say, "Oh no, you need to talk to somebody in this other department." They put you back on hold for another hour, and the runaround. So F2F has, they've got Landstar beat on the sign-in process and the customer service. Inspections. You may not think this is a big deal, but it is. I'll start with F2F. You get an inspection when you sign on, and then one every 6 months. You pay for one, F2F pays for the other. That's it. At Landstar, you have to get one every 3 months. 3 months? Yeah, every 3 months, every quarter. And that goes for your truck and your trailer. If you don't get it in time, they shut you down. But although that's inconvenient, what makes it more inconvenient is that you just can't go down to a Love's or a TA or the place that does inspections down the street from your house. They have special locations that you have to go to. And I remember on several occasions being somewhere and trying to get a job, a load, only to find out that I'm on hold. And so you call, wait on hold an hour to try to find somebody and say, "Hey, what's going on?" "Oh, your inspection is due. You got to have it before we can give you this job." You look on Landstar's list, the nearest inspection site's 150 miles from you. And on one occasion, they didn't put me on hold yet, but I needed an inspection or I was getting ready to be put on hold. And so I looked on the inspection site and I said, "Oh, okay, here's one." It's only about 75 miles out of the way. I was en route. I was on a trip. And so I called them. I said, "Hey, you do Landstar inspections just to make sure?" And they said, "Oh, yeah." Got over there, waited for about 30 minutes, and he says, "Oh, yeah, the guy that does those inspections isn't here today. He's not going to be here tomorrow." And that happened to me twice on that trip, even though I called ahead. Apparently, there's only one guy trained to do those inspections. So it's just a nightmare trying to get, take half a day and try to, make it convenient for yourself just to get this inspection done for Landstar. So, yeah, F2F's got them on that. ELD, all ELDs are crap, in my opinion. F2F uses TransFlow, and so it's a little device. You plug it into your truck, and then you use an app on the phone. I personally love it. It's super easy for me. It does have its occasions when it doesn't connect quite right. I've had it on maybe 2 occasions where later on it'll ask me, "Hey, do you want to add this drive time?" I'm like, "Where did that come from?" Well, it's because it didn't connect the other day correctly or something, and I've had to fix it twice. But other than that, it has worked great. I love it because at any point during the day, I can look on my TransFlow and see all my hours, not just my drive time I have left, but I can see how many duty hours I have left, how many drive hours I have left, how much is left on my 70-hour clock. So I like it. I've heard people complain a lot about it, but I was on Omnitracs and Qualcomm's before that, and they all have their own, issues. So cheap machinery there. Trailer. This I should have put on the negatives with F2F. When you're at Landstar, you're renting a trailer if you don't have your own, and it's fairly expensive. I'm talking about flatbed here first. So if you rent a flatbed, I think it was about $180 a week when I was there, something like that. But Landstar takes care of the maintenance. So all in all, fairly good deal. At Landstar, if you're using a van, you're not paying anything for that van. You're not paying for the maintenance. So compare that to F2F. When you come over here, you're going to have to lease that trailer, not lease to own. You're just renting it again, and you're responsible for the maintenance. I could have that wrong, but I've talked to a couple people, and that's what they've told me. Certain things go along with that, if the tire, depth, and a couple of other little things. But after a certain amount of time of renting that trailer, then everything is on you. I don't think that's right, but that's what you agree to. That's one of the reasons I haven't picked up a trailer since I've been over here. I'm not gonna rent a trailer and then pay for the maintenance on that also. Just doesn't seem right to me. But pay and paydays both do the 1 week system. You turn your Landstar has a couple different days. Some people turn theirs in on Monday, get paid Thursday or something. I can't remember. And some people turn theirs in Thursday and get paid Monday. But Landstar, when I was over there, there were several occasions when my check was incorrect. And you could never count on the cutoff time. There were times when I can't remember exactly when my cutoff day was. I think it was a Tuesday. But I would turn stuff in, before noon on Tuesday, and then it wouldn't be on my next check. Or I would turn it in on Wednesday, and it would be on my next check. And a couple of other little things that were just, seems like I had trouble with my check several times while I was over there. With F2F, it's always been correct, with the exception of, it's been about 2 months ago, but I had, I'm not sure how they did it. They just got 2 checks mixed up somehow, which you shouldn't be able to do, but the way I work, I don't work that much, so they put 2 days on one check, and then the week before that, which should have been big check anyway. But the amounts were correct, and other than that, the checks have always been accurate, so no complaints there really. The big thing, the loads with either one. So I've had several conversations with several people about this, and have people that say, "Oh, you can make way more money." What was that? You can make way more money at Landstar because their load boards, their loads are only for Landstar, and a lot of different things that they did not know what they were talking about. Yes, there are some Landstar loads that only Landstar drivers can get, but they are a very, very small percentage. When Landstar gets a load, they not only throw it on the Landstar board for Landstar drivers, all the people with their own authority who can get on the Landstar board, and they also throw a lot of those loads on the DAT board and truck stop. When I was at Landstar, it started out really good. It was a really good year, and I had a couple of different routes that I loved. They were right around the house or going out to West Texas and back that were making me some really good money. Of course, oil field dried up a little bit, and running out West Texas wasn't, there weren't a lot of loads coming back. And the one route that I had around my house, that was taken over by another company who went in and underbid everybody, and so I couldn't get that route every day. I could get it occasionally, but not every day. And then it just turned out that for whatever reason, there were no loads around my house. I live kind of in the middle of Houston, Dallas, and Shreveport, and other than going and picking up a lumber load that weighed 50,000 pounds, I was doing flatbed, there was nothing around my house. I'd have to deadhead to Houston every single time to get a load. And very seldom would I find something going, the lane that comes through my house. Also, like I like driving out west, And with Landstar, I could get those loads going out west quite a bit, but going out west or going up to the Midwest, a little bit further north, Landstar's load board, there's nothing coming back, and if it is, it's not paying diddly. So got to the point where I couldn't get the loads I wanted. So after a while, I switched over. I bought me a hot shot rig, tried that for a little while, didn't like it. So I said, you know what, I got to move on. I got to improve my situation. Went with another company right after that, and that was a big mistake. But that's more about that later. So switched over to F2F after a while, or went to Mercer, then came to F2F. Picking loads at F2F. I've hauled loads for Mercer. I've hauled loads for Landstar. I've hauled loads for... I can't even describe to you how many people I've hauled loads for. I can haul load for anybody I want to. Now, with the exception, there are a couple of companies out there that apparently don't pay their bills on time, and F2F won't do business with them. But I've only run into that twice, and there are thousands of agents out there. I can, like I said, I can still haul those loads with Landstar, with the exception of hazmat. I can't do that at F2F, but I'm not limited to Landstar's load board like I was at Landstar. I'm not limited to Mercer's load board like I was at Mercer. Yes, at Landstar, you can get an agent occasionally to find you a load off the truck stop or DAT board, but the problem you're going to run into is they're not going to want to do it for you all the time. They're just one, every once in a while they might do it for you, but they're not going to do it for you all the time. And the apparent reason is they just don't want to. There's a lot of paperwork involved, especially when you're dealing with different agents all the time, doing all the carrier packets and all that good stuff. Landstar agent's just not going to go through that for one driver. And so when you're at Landstar, you are basically limited to their load board. Now, there's lots of good loads on there, and depending on what area, it could be great for you, but it just did not work out for me. And so, F2F, you're just not limited by anything. You can go out and get your own loads. You can go directly to the customer and, pick up loads from them. Have your own accounts, or you can just pick everything off the load boards, and that's what I've been doing with this power only. So, in my opinion, it's not even close. Not even close. I'd choose F2F 100 times out of 100 over Landstar.